Hello, this is Chad. Today we are going to be making a short rib ravioli. The first step to that is making our fresh pasta dough. For this we're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks, a teaspoon of kosher salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. First thing we're going to do, I'm doing this in my KitchenAid mixer. If you don't have one, you can just do this by hand. I'm just putting all of the ingredients in the mixer. And then in the mixer, we're going to use our paddle attachment for 2 minutes, just to bring everything together. So we'll put that on speed number 2 for 2 minutes. So once your dough has come together, which should be about 2 minutes, I'm going to press it off. Should come off easy. It's about the consistency of Play-Doh now. But it doesn't have that structure that it needs. So we're going to use our dough hook and knead it with the dough hook for 2 minutes, again on speed number 2. So the final step is to knead the dough by hand a little bit. So you'll lightly flour your work area, take your dough out. As you can see, it just all came out of the bowl, nice and clean. It's not too sticky. And you just press with your palm, give it a quarter turn, press, quarter turn, press, and repeat for a couple minutes until the dough becomes nice and elastic. So you know that your ravioli has been kneaded enough when you can kind of bend it into a round shape. You push down and it springs back up. That means the gluten is formed. And now our last step for this is to cover it in plastic wrap and let it sit at room temp for at least an hour for the structure to form. So to begin our ravioli, our dough is rested for about an hour. Put a bunch of flour down. I like to coat my dough in flour. It's still just slightly tacky. And then we're going to cut this into thirds, make it easier to work with in smaller amounts. So first thing, you take your rectangle of dough, flatten it as much as possible, but trying to keep that rectangle shape. I'm also going to use my KitchenAid attachment for rolling dough. If you don't have one of these, you can do it with a rolling pin, but if you plan on doing a lot of ravioli making, I highly recommend this. We are going to add a little flour to that to make sure our ravioli doesn't stick to the rollers. And then keep our ravioli centered. You want to make sure you're not going at a weird angle or it's going to pull your dough and rip it. So, first step to help form more gluten and more structure for our ravioli is you run it on the thickest setting and then we fold it in thirds like an envelope. Press that down a little bit so it'll fit in the rollers. And what we're going to do is keep running this through until it's so thin that we can see our hand through it pretty easily. And for me, that's a setting 6 for this ravioli. Now we have our sheet of dough. We're going to find pretty much the center, cut it in 2. Get that placed there. And I have my short rib mixture. It is just braised short ribs I've shredded apart. Haven't added any liquid or anything. There's a little bit of fat in there that'll give it moisture. But I'm serving this in a broth, so I don't want too much moisture on the inside. I'm putting about a tablespoon's worth, about 2 inches apart. Take some water with a brush, or you can use your finger or whatever, and just run water a light amount. You don't want to soak it because it's going to be very sticky and hard to work with then. Just enough to wet it down that it'll stick to itself. Run it in between each ravioli. We're going to take our other sheet, just lay it over the top, And then we're going to use our hands to force the air out from in between the raviolis first. Then we'll take a cutter or a knife or anything you want to use. You can use a cup, a glass, and just twist it on top. We're going to separate the ravioli. And there you go. And then I like to go along and just press lightly with my fingers to ensure that all of the edges are crimped so they're not going to open up in your water. And that's it. At this point, you can either boil them immediately for about 3 minutes, or you can stick them on a sheet tray or something and freeze them for later use. This is one of our finished short rib ravioli. This is Chef Chad Corin from Lex 530. Thank you.